driven to change lives, starting with his own. One man is taking on the trucking industry one push-up and one fast food meal at a time. His story is growing bolder. Then,
the mountain is just the most amazing place on earth. Being at the top of your motherland with your two kids. What more can I ask for?
Sometimes, before you can believe it's possible to move mountains, you have to climb them. What it meant to one woman and the 3 things that have her hoping to overcome the odds one step at a time.
And the job that 44 million of us find ourselves thrown into. Meet a caregiver who says on good days and bad, she's able to keep growing bolder by making the choice to make a difference.
The moral of the story is really follow your heart.
Live your life to the fullest. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it.
So get out there, take some chances.
Find something you love and make it your lifestyle.
Make no mistake about it, it's a revolution.
Welcome back to the Growing Boulder House here in Lake Nona, Florida, where we are rebranding aging from a time of loss and limitation to one of power, passion, and possibility. I'm Mark Middleton.
And I'm Bill Schaefer. When you picture a truck driver, probably isn't somebody doing pull-ups and handstands in between those long hours at the wheel. But if Sepiwe Baleka has his way, that's exactly how you'll start to see people in his line of work. And that's why he's smashing stereotypes and changing lives.
We first met Sepiwe back in 2011 at a Masters Swimming Championship in Arizona. And after just a few moments of hearing his story, we knew he was growing bolder. Since then, with a little push from Growing Bolder, he's taken what was a big idea and turned it into a big business. We caught up with him recently to ask what it's like to be the fitness guru of the entire trucking industry, inspiring people all over the world. Sepiwe Baleka has traveled to Gresham, Oregon to compete in the U.S. Masters National Swimming Championships. A multiple National Masters champion, Baleka has quickly become a big name in Masters swimming, but an even bigger name in the world of long-haul trucking. Long-haul trucking has the highest rate of obesity of any occupation, and truckers have a life expectancy 20 years below the national average. Which brings us back to Baleka, who in the early 90s became the first African American to be named All-Ivy when he competed for Yale. After failing to qualify for the 1992 Olympics, he quit swimming and traveled the world for 15 years. In 2008, still searching for his future, he took a student driver course and became a long-haul truck driver.
When I started driving a truck, I noticed I started to eat a lot of junk food and started to get heavy, and I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to end up a statistic. Most truck drivers are overweight, so I just started working out every day on the side of my truck, and I felt good, and then I kept it up.
He felt so good that he entered the 2011 U.S. Masters National Championships in Arizona. Growing Bolder just happened to be covering that meet, with his father rolling the video camera and his children watching him swim for the first time ever. Baleka came back from a nearly 2-decade layoff to win 2 national championships. Encouraged by his results and seeing a major need, Baleka launched a website aimed at trucker fitness. At the same time, Growing Bolder's video on the truck driving swimmer went viral. Suddenly, Baleka had the attention of an entire industry.
That story that Growing Bolder produced and aired brought a lot of attention. It gave me a platform to talk about how to help people who are sedentary or who are overweight or obese and haven't worked out in a long time. It gave me a platform to talk about it specifically in the trucking industry. And then I was able to reach other carriers and truck stops and industry associations because of that video. So it really has helped my business. It gave me some credibility. It allowed me to take my success in the pool and use it for something bigger than myself.
Baleka founded his own company, Fitness Trucking, and was named Driver Health and Fitness Coach at Prime Inc., a commercial trucking company with nearly 7,000 drivers. He's been dubbed the fitness guru of the trucking industry and featured in many national media reports.
My whole mission was to take the unhealthiest occupation and make it a model for one of the healthiest corporate wellness programs. And that's happening. It's spreading throughout the industry, and I'm going to keep working on that until the entire industry is an example of what can be done. And if truck drivers can do it, anybody can do it.
In the recent national championships, Baleka swam 7 events and came away with 7 gold medals and 1 national record.
Take your mark.
And I've been getting faster every year, and I'm approaching times that I did in college, and so I'm super motivated, but to do that, and excited that wow, I can actually swim this fast still at 45 years of age.
It's been a long haul for Sepiwe Baleka. He never dreamed he would drive a truck, and certainly never imagined that he would transform the trucking industry. But the moral of his story is a growing bolder lesson for us all.
It's what my father taught me. It's worth it to do your best. Whatever you do your best at it. You finish what you start, you go to the next thing, but you always give your best. And it's worth doing. You get the most out of life that way.
It took decades, but Sepiwe Baleka found his future when he climbed behind the wheel of a big rig and then remembered his past. An amazing transformation. So, how can we find our future? One of the big lessons from Sepiwe's story is something that we have seen over and over, and that is a key to discovering your passion is to look to your past. In Sepiwe's case, it was swimming that led him to become, of all things, a truck driving fitness guru.
Yeah, that's great, but there are also so many different ways to make a difference, and if you can also make a living and make yourself happy at the same time, that's a win-win, and that's what we call growing bolder. And she's the oldest person ever to officially finish an Ironman triathlon. Just her involvement forced organizers to add a new age group, but that's not why she did it. Sister Madonna Booter, who's in her 80s, didn't do it to set records or to get attention. She says her mission is to convince the rest of us to challenge ourselves to be better and healthier people.
That's the phrase I hear all the time now. I want to be like you when I get older. And I'm thinking, well, you can't stop getting old, so don't fret it. Just keep doing it as long as your body will allow you to.
Booter is a Roman Catholic religious sister. Most call her by her well-deserved nickname, the Iron Nun. And she didn't start running until her late 40s, so it is never too late.
Folks, there is no way around it. If you want to keep moving, you have to keep moving. It will not only lengthen your life, it'll improve the quality of your life and reduce your future health care costs. Getting and staying active is the most important investment that you can make. So find something you love and make it your lifestyle.
Well, the message is move more. Small steps lead to big changes, and it's never too late to change your life. So when you're ready, and there's no better time than now, you'll find more resources, including trainer tips and even a functional fitness workout with Team Growing Bolder at growingbolder.com/TV. Sometimes through tragedy, we also find triumph. Stories of people and organizations who come together rather than break apart during some of our darkest days.
Yeah, after the 2017 Las Vegas shooting and the 2016 shooting at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, many of us wondered, how can we move forward? Is it possible to find love in the midst of so much heartbreaking loss? Of course, the answer is yes. Orlando is working with and advising Las Vegas, sharing how it's helped citizens come together in love in the aftermath of hate. Through vigils, community memorials, art created and displayed in honor of the victims, and much more, these 2 iconic American cities are indeed growing bolder. The Pulse shooting is also one of the things that inspired a woman to put a big, bold goal on her bucket list. In honor of the victims, to battle back against a disease that threatens her future and to share an incredible adventure with her family, Margaret Kahn says she knew she had to follow through. Our Cecily Wilson has the story.
5, looking good.
On any given morning, you can find Margaret Kahn working out with her trainer, Mike.
6,
7.
Some mornings are tougher than others.
He was lethal today. He gave me some stuff that I've never done before.
8.
Margaret is a busy professional, but she knows these early morning sweat sessions just may be the most important part of her day. 3 years ago, at the age of 58, Margaret was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. She quickly realized being proactive about her health was the best way to fight a progressive disease like Parkinson's.
A lot of what Mike does is balance with me, because Parkinson's, you do tend to lose your balance. For me, my right side is the side that moves, and I get freezing in my hands. I'm not balanced properly because it's right down my right side. So a lot of what he does is strength in balance with me.
Is it fun for you?
It is. It really is fun. I don't come from an athletic family. My 2 kids are very athletic, so I have to keep up with them.
Well, actually, it's her kids who have to keep up with her. Earlier this year, she and her 2 grown children climbed the famed volcano Mount St. Helens in Washington State. Now, Margaret has set an even bigger goal for her family. They'll return to their home continent of Africa to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, the world's tallest freestanding mountain. It will be Margaret's second ascent to the roof of Africa.
The mountain is just the most amazing place on earth. Being at the top of your motherland with your 2 kids. What more can I ask for? So that's why I'm doing it this time.
She has other motivations for the grueling expedition, too. On her first trip up Mount Kilimanjaro, Margaret joined a team that climbed in support of the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
It was really the first time I really started telling people I had Parkinson's, because I thought it was quite noticeable. So I started telling people, and I went with a team of 8. There were 2 of us that had Parkinson's. It challenged us both.
This time, she's climbing to honor the 49 victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting in her beloved adopted community of Orlando.
And it's for the 49 people that lost their lives. They shouldn't have. They were enjoying their life. And I've got to take them to that place of peace.
So you're taking them with you on that climb?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for you?
You know, when people's lives is just sort of cut down when they're having fun, you know, you can almost understand a natural disaster taking people's lives. But when somebody out of hatred takes somebody else's life, it just doesn't sit well.
Is that what's driving you right now? Is you're training every morning to climb that mountain? Is that the fuel in your fire?
Because they don't have a chance to do that. So I'm going to do it and just take them with me.
Margaret knows it won't be easy. No matter how well trained she is, she says 2 other factors are always in charge: her disease and the mountain itself. But she's determined to attack both with fierceness and determination that can move mountains.
Everybody has a mountain, and everybody has to climb that mountain. And my purpose, I think, in this life is to help them climb the mountain.
Margaret says growing up in Africa, the child of missionaries and educators, taught her to look out for her fellow humans and to do her best to spread peace and love. It's a philosophy she believes is more important now than ever before in this divisive world.
I think people need to stop judging. People need to stop hating. People need to start looking at the earth and realizing that we are privileged to live on this earth.
Our show is all about surviving and thriving. You're doing that. Talk to us about surviving and thriving in the face of adversity.
I used to always live in the future. I was planning for the future. This new normal of mine has taught me to fight for today. So every day when I get up, I fight for today. I fight to make my day as normal as possible. I know that it could be so unpredictable. So I fight to keep it absolutely normal, and I fight not to give in.
Isn't it interesting that mountains have now become metaphors for life's challenges, something that I learned firsthand when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with Growing Boulder Medical Director Dr. Robert Masson, Wendy Chioji, and a group of cancer survivors who wanted to send a message of hope to the more than 32 million survivors worldwide.
And while we are making progress against deadly diseases, seeing the recovery that's possible, well, that's great motivation for the millions who are diagnosed every year to never give up.
More information about Margaret's climb as well as Conquering Kilimanjaro, our documentary about our climb, is available at growingboulder.com/TV. Well, chances are that at some point in your life, you may need to be a caregiver for someone. Or one day it could even be you who needs to be cared for. Did you know that 44 million people in this country end up caregiving? Well, you're about to meet one who never expected it would be her. And her advice? Be in the best shape you can be, so if you do need to, you'll be ready.
2 left, 2 right.
Beth Ann Weiss is a lightning bolt of energy who has little trouble motivating others to move.
And you should start feeling a little burn in the glutes.
It's her passion and her career.
Man, we are all on the same page. Do it again.
Remarkable when you consider that for the longest time, her doing anything like this was nothing more than a seemingly impossible dream.
Front and side. My whole life was kind of trying to seek answers to why am I in pain all the time.
She was constantly dizzy, would struggle simply to keep her balance. It got to where she was afraid to drive and even afraid to leave the house.
I was sent to every doctor. I went all over to the best of the best. I went to witch doctors. I went everywhere because it took over my life.
She had a chronic vestibular disorder, and if there wasn't much doctors could do, then Beth Ann decided to fight it on her own. And she did, not by sitting still, but through movement.
I don't want to get too deep, but I feel like we are meant to move. We are just like the 11th commandment should be, thou shalt move thy assets.
So she dubbed herself the Asset Queen.
But I want you out here as much as you can without arching your back.
And set out on a mission to regain her health and that of as many others as she could gather along the way.
Moving your assets is just about getting up your God-given body parts and moving them the way they're meant to move. And I've turned that into my life's mission. And I wrote a book called Move Your Assets, From the Chair, Not the Bank. I try to get people to focus on adding positive things to your life. And it's called movement. Notice that? Movement. I always take words like that. Meant to move. Oh, really? So I don't even call it exercise. I don't call it workout, because that sounds, who the heck wants more work?
Beth Ann's life had come together, but now into her 50s, it was about to come apart again.
Can I have my mommy, my favorite hug?
This time, it was her parents.
Hi, Mommy.
Age had taken a toll. Alzheimer's disease
Wanna take a walk with me?
forced her mother into a memory care facility.
Gotcha.
Her father, with different issues, was in a nursing home clear across town. Beth Ann found herself thrust into the role of caregiver, a role that changed everything.
I am living my life and I'm having a great life, but I still cannot get these images of seeing I miss my mother. And it's not her, but it is. So at least I still get a hug or something, but, and her just I don't know how long she's gonna go on like this. And you can't be in these situations and expect that anyone's gonna come and help you. You feel so alone in this kind of caregiving. No one can really relate to it unless they're in the situation.
There are 44 million people in this country who can relate, who have had to put their own lives, even their own families aside, to care for others. In many cases, the task is simply overwhelming.
I clock 30 hours a week. I have to document all the hours that I spend. That's only for my mom, and I just never expected it to be my full-time job, but literally it is.
Her mother was a vibrant, intelligent, passionate woman.
Your birthday was 2 days ago. Do you remember we came here to visit you and we had a cake?
Now she rarely utters a word.
Me today. And I just started thinking about my mother. And she was my BFF my whole life, like this beautiful lady, and it's not her anymore, and I have to visit her like this.
About all that's left is an occasional response, and oddly enough, a tune from long ago.
Put another nickel in
the Nickelodeon.
All I want is loving you and
music.
What makes that song special to her?
The guy who wrote it, Bernard Kastenbaum, was one of her first boyfriends back in the day. One is loving you and music.
Because of her own struggles, Beth Ann thought she knew the importance of strength. She had no idea how strong she would really need to be.
You gotta put you on your schedule first. And if you don't, you're not gonna be able to handle all the curveballs that life throws at you.
We push away. It's like, get away. Working the triceps. There's a method to my madness.
So what I'm trying to do is keep you strong at 45, 35.
Thank you, Robin.
Because when you get to be my age, old and decrepit, you're gonna have a lot of things thrown at you. You may have to take care of your parents, and you better be able to take care of yourself.
Beth Ann Weiss believes we all need to keep moving our assets, if not for ourselves, for those in our lives who have no idea how much they'll come to depend on us.
This is a big thing. There are a lot of people like me that need some sort of assistance. There are no books out there like when you're ready to have a baby. There are lots of what to name your baby and what to expect when you're expecting. I want to go rest? 1, 2, 3. There's not much written for people that have no expectations of taking care of parents. Give me lovies and I'll see you tomorrow. Where's my big mommy? I love you, mommy.
I love you, mommy.
Well, we have many stories about and for caregivers, as well as tips from experts on how to deal with the financial, emotional, and even physical challenges that come with it. You can find them at growingbolder.com/TV.
While caregiving is a responsibility, it can be a real challenge, but it's also a real opportunity. Growing Bolder is about embracing the opportunities of aging. Let's be honest, with 10,000 of us turning 65 every day, there is a deafening silence when it comes to talking about our wishes for our end-of-life care. Ellen Goodman is the co-founder and director of the Conversation Project, and she's on a mission to help us all talk about our wishes for end-of-life care. For Ellen, it's a mission that's very personal. As we know only too well, the mortality rate is 100%, and yet we all ignore the inevitable. The Conversation Project is about embracing the discussion that we all run from, and in fact, you actually ran from it yourself with your mom. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I didn't run from it with my mom. I didn't even think about it. When my mother came to the end of her life, it was very odd because my mother and I had talked about absolutely everything in the world, except how she wanted to live at the end of her life. From time to time, the closest we'd ever come was she would see somebody and who was in a dire strait, and she said, if I'm ever like that, pull the plug. But, of course, there was no plug to pull. There rarely is. And so she had dementia at the end of her life. And when she could no longer decide what she wanted for lunch, let alone what she wanted for health care, I was quite shocked to find that those decisions fell to me. And I often wished that I had heard her voice in my ear telling me what she wanted, because it would have made life much more comfortable.
So Ellen's takeaway message is an important one. It's always too soon until it's too late. So reach out today and connect with your loved ones.
We have one final Growing Bolder pep talk today, and it comes from Wendy Chioji. We'll see you next time. Until then, Defy.
When I got into television in 1983, I spent a day with a talent consultant to polish my self-admittedly raw skills. After half a day with her, she told me that there are many other jobs in TV that aren't on camera. I wasn't discouraged. I defied her assessment of my ability and built a pretty darn good 25-year television career. I've been defiant all my life. It's brought victories and sometimes defeat, but I never regretted pushing back. I think defiance is underutilized. Too often we hear or experience or feel something and choose to take the path of least resistance. Make no mistake about it, going with the flow and not challenging what's in front of you is a choice. You are choosing the less awesome option. You are letting life happen to you. The other way is more challenging, scary at times, not always successful, but at least you tried. I'm in a clinical trial now that has a 10% success rate for participants, but for the first time in months, my cancer is not progressing. My doctor and I defied a 90% failure rate of this trial, and it looks like we found success. It's a graphic example that you should never give up. Defy. We'll see you next time.
I make the best facial expressions when you're reading the headlines.
Nice. So you're wasting.
Do you want to redo the caregiver instead of caretaker?
Did I say caretaker? That's not going to work.
Do the whole thing again or just pick up the full screen?
Just pick it up. All right, that's it.
I'm done with this show.
More information about all of the stories you've seen here today is available at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to keep rebranding aging when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook. Growing Bolder is available on DVD for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. A companion book, Growing Bolder, Rebranding Aging by Mark Middleton, is available as well for $29.99 plus shipping and handling. And you can subscribe to Growing Bolder magazine for $19.99. Order online at growingbolder.com/TV.